Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel here. Doing a kind of trial and error video here. So we've got some stuff going on with our Volkswagen CC project. Today is November 25th. It's a little bit cold. It's about 30s. And just give you an update, what happened was, drove the car a couple of days ago. Went and actually got our oil exchange and came back, did our oil change and, filter, oil and everything, dropped it down off the jacks. Everything was fine. Decided we're going to go ahead and go on and call it a day. Shot that video and then came out here today and went to put the key in the car. Was going to take it around, just, get that oil in there and make sure we got the level right and everything. And we got some electrical stuff going on, folks. And, this time of the year when it starts getting cold, batteries tend to go on their way out. And this particular car, since we picked it up from the salvage yard, it had about a 4-year-old battery made by OBDII, by Advanced Auto. So, thinking that was an issue, went ahead and went over and we went to Walmart and picked up one of the EverStart Platinum gel mats. And that's a 900 CCA. Well, it's 850 actually, cold concrete, and it's H8. So exact replacement for what was in there with that die-hard. The only difference is instead of lead acid, this is actually gel mat. And actually pretty reasonable. It's a Black Friday sale and, obviously extended through the weekend. So grabbed that, went ahead and swapped that out and, followed the procedures to clear everything out, tap the cables together, set for 15 minutes, connect them, get back in, reset all the windows, anti-theft button with the key fob and everything. Went to start the car and it, no click, nothing. And so we'll back up just a little bit. The only error that we were getting before all this went down was from our evap purge solenoid, or our evap purge sensor, which is right here. There's 2 wires that go to it, and took that out, blew it out, plugged it back in, and reset that code. And obviously that's another reason we wanted to drive it a little bit. But that was the only issue we were getting with this car. And so what we've got going on now is the key fob. I'm going to go ahead and close the door so I can show you. I'll go ahead and leave the trunk. Well, actually, let's close the trunk so I can show you that too. So the key fob works. I changed the battery in the key fob as well. So I've got the key fob right here. I'm going to push lock. Okay, it locks everything up. I'm going to push lock again. Nothing. Okay, no chirp, no. You used to have a little beep that the anti-theft was coming on, but I am getting the flashing alarm system light right there in the driver's door. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit unlock and watch the windows as they retract just a little bit. See, the drivers came down like you were going to get in. So it's ready for me to enter the vehicle, and I can open the trunk with the key fob. So the fob transmitter itself is working. So I plug this into the car, and there's 3 positions. You've got just insert it in. Let's jump in here and we'll do it so you can see. And this is identical to several of the, the Beetles. A lot of Volkswagen cars have this same setup with this push button or this push-in key fob here. So you've got your slot here. So watch what happens. So I'm going to put it in the one, so it's just in, right? So I push it in 1 click, nothing happens. Okay, that's just basically that first little detent. I'll push it to position 2 right here, and watch what happens. Everything comes on. I get a button for driver assist system defective. Service breaks, all kinds of warning codes, TPMS, flashing, but I don't have an immobilizer. You know, usually you'd have like or anti-theft. I've got a red steering wheel. I've got ABS. I've got my brakes set, airbag. The parking brake is on. It's got the auto, you know, the electronic brakes. And the other thing that happens is, and I'll show you, let's turn this on. The radio comes up, so it boots up fine. And sometimes it'll go straight to the radio and start playing music. And if that happens, I'll have to make sure we don't violate any copyright. So let me get ready here. And watch what happens to the radio. It comes on, it asks for a security code, which is the radio code. And give it just a minute. I'll flash over here and just show you all the warning. Whoops. Sorry about that. No copyright. I turned it down. It was Hispanic music anyway. So, okay, so now this comes up, and then it asks me, please enter code. Now, what it's asking for is the radio code. And I've tried the last 4 digits of the VIN, so let me do that real quick. Okay, and I hit OK, and it says wrong code. So now it says system locks. I got locked. I got to wait 60 minutes. All right, well, I'll wait 60 minutes. So I've done that twice. The clock is inaccurate because all this went down this afternoon. And so now I'm locked with all these lights on. My radio's locked up. I get my OBD scanner. I plug it in, and it won't connect. So the OBDII port is not getting any juice to my. I mean, the light comes on. The LED will come on like it's ready to transmit and everything. But my I can't get my scanner to read it, and it'll go through and it'll say auto scan for the VIN, and it'll just go for about 4 minutes and then go unable to connect. So I put the detent the key to the next detent, which is normally you would push that again like this. Okay. And then you should hear the, you should see the lights come on. You should hear the fuel pump priming. You should hear the prepping of the throttle body. And it's waiting for me to step on the brake and push that key down to start, okay? And it's not doing any of that. So we've got our radio locked up, all these codes, no start, no turn. The starter won't even turn. So let me pull this out, okay? And we're gonna leave it there. So the only thing on the dash now in position number 2, after we've killed it. Now, did you hear that click? That is my throttle body resetting. Okay. Parking light is on because the parking brake is set, and radio is also set, locked up. So we'll go ahead and leave this alone. I'm going to go ahead and pull the key out. Okay. Now come with me and I'm going to show you what I did. It's just some troubleshooting that's been going on. So I went ahead and pulled the fuse panel, and I pulled the 5-amp fuse for the OBDII port and checked that. I actually pulled it out and I replaced it with a brand new fuse. And I went through and I checked all the other fuses, even in anywhere where you see there's missing a fuse. That's not, the vehicle doesn't have it. Some of that stuff has to do with adaptive cruise control and such as that. So, but this fuse right here, and I believe it's fuse number 25, was blown. And that is climate control. So I have no idea why that one would have blown. And there's another fuse right next to it, which is a 20 amp fuse. I believe it was this one. And that is for those buttons for the, I don't know what what Volkswagen calls it, but it's your garage door opener in your visor. So this is where we're at. I think what happened is the radio is waiting for the radio transmission code, or the actual, anti-theft code that needs to be punched in. I don't know what that is. It's not written down in the user's manual or the operating manual for the vehicle. I've gone through and I've checked all of these fuses and they're okay. I even swapped the relays around. I checked the maxi fuses, making sure they're okay. Everything's fine in here. Anything that's missing, it's because the vehicle doesn't have that particular setup. As you know, these Volkswagen CCs came with either the V6 or the 2.0 TFSI, and the same fuse box would be. So if you have a turbo, obviously you'd have some additional fuses for your, compensation for the throttle body and your pressure valves and stuff. But, the lights, I can turn them on with the switch. And I've checked everywhere where the radio code should be. I've checked the label on the door. I have gone back here into the trunk. Some of you may not know to look back here, but there will be a sticker either in the fender well. You can pull the cover plate off here and it'll be down in here. It'll be behind this one. However, it's not in this case. Or it will be in your spare tire area. And sure enough, look at there. However, our label doesn't have a radio code. The only thing it has is information on transmission, horsepower output, those 3-digit codes that talk about the paint and all of that. So nothing in here gives me any information on what that radio code is. So we may have to do a reset on the radio. And right now I'm kind of at a loss because I'm gonna have to do a lot of reading and some more troubleshooting, because everywhere that I found is pointing me in the direction of theft, anti-theft system. I'm not getting the chirp for the alarm coming on when I use the key fob to lock the vehicle. The OBDII port isn't working, so I can't program a new fob or make sure the key is going to work. The driver assistant or convenience button being defective has something to do with the CCN module over there in the passenger side, which we may need to pull and check those connections. The key fob RFID chip might be messed up. Obviously, all the buttons on the fob open the doors and the trunk and everything. It's not the code for the RFID maybe isn't talking to the vehicle through the ignition switch. So those are a couple of more places I still need to look. But right now we've got a dead car, and it's not very, doesn't make me happy. We had it running so good, and the battery was on its way out. So y'all know these Volkswagens, a simple little maintenance task like changing a battery can throw all kinds of wrenches in your process. And usually it's as simple as pulling that battery out, tapping the wires together, leaving them disconnected for about 15 minutes, plugging them back up, getting back in the car, putting your key fob in the ignition, letting it sit there for a couple of minutes, or trying the key that's inside the fob, and I'll show you how to do that. Some people don't know this, but you actually have a key in here. And so what you do is, see this little button right here? It's kind of hard to see. But what you do is you press that down. Let me use my finger here and see if I can get it to come out. One-handed. Yeah, it's going to be a little tough. Let's see if we can't do it like this. It's going to come out. There we go. All right, so see that little slot there? This is your actual door key that you would remove from your fob. And then on your driver's side, and this is Volkswagen GTIs, Passats, Jettas, you have this little plastic cover, and underneath there's a slot right where my finger is. You just take that key, pop it up, and there's your door lock tumbler. Then you would take your key for the vehicle. Now you can't take just one that is flat. It's got to be, obviously engraved or, grooved, or I don't know what you call that, machine for your particular car. So, and then you would stick this in your door key, and you'll be able to open it. And that's the way you get into the car if your battery ever dies on these. Okay, you'll be able to get inside the door. You can get in the trunk. Put it in neutral so you can get it on a tow truck and what have you. So I've tried the whole lock the car with the key fob, take this little plastic key, turn it to the right, hold it, turn it to the left, hold it, take it out, get in, try the fob again. I've tried leaving the key fob in the ignition with the battery on and hooked up to my charger for an hour, thinking that maybe it would reconnect the RFID chip. That's not working. So we are at the point to where I think the car thinks, because I disconnected the battery, everything came uncoded. The car is basically in the position to where it thinks it's being stolen, or it's shut down a lot of the information modules. And the most detrimental part of that is I can't plug in my OBDII reader to be able to reset anything, to even adapt the battery to the car, or, reset the key, reset any of the modules that I need to, and all of those dash warning lights. So what I'm getting is a bunch of, take it to the dealer, they have a scanner. Well, no, I have the scanner. It's how do we reset the immobilizer system? So what we're going to do tonight, and this is going to be probably an extended series on this video, because I want to go through and do some troubleshooting with you all. And we'll find out exactly what the hell's going on, because this can't be just happening to me. And, if you're stuck on the road and you lose a battery somewhere, and AAA comes and brings you a battery and you put it in the car, and now you're stuck because the car thinks it's being stolen, and, your keys don't work, your OBDII doesn't work, and you're getting all kinds of warning lights, and the car won't run, well, not going to be very happy. So luckily this is in the garage. It's nice and warm in here, and we'll be able to go through this over the next few series of videos here to figure out what's going on. So if anybody out there that's watching has any ideas or recommendations on what I should check, by all means, shoot a comment down below. As we go through this process together, we're going to check everything together. We'll go in the passenger side, pull the glove box out, and we'll check the connections on the CCM, or the comfort control module, which is actually the anti-theft module. And then we will go and we'll double check the wiring and the voltage at the OBDII port, make sure we're getting power. Should have 12 volts. I believe it's pin number 16. And then pins number 4 and 5 are our grounds. I'll double check that on the schematics, but we'll do that together and see what we come up with on our scanner or on our voltmeter. And then we will disconnect the battery and tap the cables together and see what happens there. Now, obviously, on these cars, you can charge the battery from up here. You've got your positive terminal under this cover here, and then you've got a ground node right here, which is this bolt, which I like to use because it is. You can see the wiring going right there, versus plugging it directly to the battery. Now, obviously, back there is going to tell you if you have a type of scanner or battery charger that will actually tell you if your battery is defective or anything. You can do it right at the battery, but in order to charge these vehicles, you just charge it right up there. So, so that's where we're at. We're at a stuck point, we're stuck in the mud. And oh, I'm glad we didn't have to tow this thing home from somewhere. And luckily the battery was, you know, we knew it was on the way out. We had to replace that. That was one of the things. And so, you know, we'll just put that in the budget of the car. No big deal. Little ding there, but it had to be done. That's something that, you know, batteries go out. And, you know, we have not replaced the evap purge sensor or solenoid. So I think the one thing on the list that we'll do is we'll disconnect that sensor connector, and then we'll go back through and we'll try everything again. Sometimes, from what I understand, one defective sensor, whether it's your evap purge, whether it's your fuel pressure, whether it's your let's see what else you got in here, temperature gauges, you've got your starter, all of these. Now, a lot of people also don't know there's some fuses there too. Don't forget about these. These are actually fuses. See the numbers on them? Those are actually between this bolt and that bolt or nut or node. That's an 80 amp. Looks like that's a 50, 80, 60. These will blow, and you know, just like a normal fuse. So those will shut down any feed from any of these wires below. If these blow here, you're not going through your fuse box anywhere. So make sure you check those as well. I have already. Everything's reading right and accurate. So there's nothing in there. I've just got that pulled just so I can hear the relays clicking. If we start touching on wires or doing anything inside the driver's compartment, we'll know that, you know, maybe there's something that's leading us in the right direction. So appreciate everybody watching. And if you have any tips or feedback, advice on what you would do in this particular situation, I'd appreciate it. But like I said, we'll go through this, try and error, and figure out together what's going on. So if in the future somebody picks up one of these vehicles, Passat, CCs, GTIs, Jettas, Golfs, with, you know, simply changing out the battery, what you're going to have to do and how we're going to do it to get everything back to getting this thing running. So take care, and we'll shorten this one up, and we'll talk to you as soon as we jump into doing our troubleshooting. Take care.